They enjoy going to school. They enjoy being able to talk to the teachers with a healthy balance of regarding them with respect, but also feeling that the teachers are approachable, that they know their way around the school like it's almost like a second home.
I'm Agnes Stowicki, Managing Editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private and independent schools to bring you insights into school programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administration. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
Well, we were currently living in Montreal before I moved to Toronto, and someone had recommended the German school very highly in Montreal, and we thought, well, let's check out the German International School Toronto, which we did, and that entailed reviewing the website and being in touch with the staff via email. They were very accommodating. The communication was good. And why we were interested in this school in particular was to do with the German language, as we had a longer term plan to move back to Germany. We had previously lived there for a number of years. My partner is German. Our son was born in Germany, and it had been close to 3 years that he had not had German in school in Montreal, although he had had French. So we were looking for ways for him to improve his German and also to keep his French going in an environment that would be safe and conducive, just a good conducive learning environment. We knew that Toronto would be a big city, so we thought if we could connect with a smaller community that would be caring and accommodating to us upon arrival, that would be a huge factor for us. The location was good. At the time, we lived closer to the school. The school did have to leave that location later on, but we decided it was worthwhile to continue going, having our children attend that school, even though the location was a little further away for us, and now it's further west in the city. But we decided it was the right place to continue sending our children. And the communications were good with the school, and there was an assessment for our son because the systems were different between provinces, and he had to be assessed for entering grade 3, and that also went well. Staff were friendly, accommodating. The curriculum harkened back to the curriculum of former East Germany in Thuringia, and this was interesting for us. My partner comes from that part of Germany, so that was familiar, and that was more or less how it went as far as the process was for us in choosing German International School Toronto. Well, our son, our 11-year-old son now, who's been there since grade 3, loves going to school, and that is a wonderful thing. He loves going. He hates when he has to miss a day if he's sick. He often doesn't want to leave whatever program he's in the aftercare when we pick him up. He has friends there. He knows everybody's name. Just the familiarity with the teachers. He just enjoys it overall. So he's been involved in programs such as band, choir, sports. He loves the sports programs. It is a smaller school, so there's this family aspect type of atmosphere with smaller classes. I personally went to public schools with much bigger classes, so this was new for me to see how things would go. And I think for the elementary school in particular, this is having this familiarity has been very special. Same thing with the event days, whether it's a bake sale or whether it's a summer festival or the Christmas bazaar. All of these events really have helped to build community and a sense of belonging. So that's been an important aspect that's led to positive responses of our son in attending this particular school. So I partly answered this in a previous response, but the familiarity of his friends and teachers at the school is very important to our son. He's 11. He's in grade 6 now. He's been there since grade 3, and I'm referring mostly to his experience because he's been there longer than our 4-year-old, who is just completing his first year in kindergarten. But I think it speaks for both of them. They enjoy going to school. They enjoy being able to talk to the teachers with a healthy balance of regarding them with respect, but also feeling that the teachers are approachable, that they know their way around the school like it's almost like a second home, that there's a variety of programs in the afternoon, such as sports and whether it's arts or some extra French tutoring or choir. He always wants to stay for the full extra sports hour that happens in the afternoon in the form of a club. He participates in the speech competitions, has done well in those in the past. And I think the learning environment has been great for him to really feel like he can focus on the work, but at the same time be in an environment that is has this balance between working hard, encouraging students to study, but also reinforcing that they're in a safe place where teachers, parents, friends are encouraged to look out for each other and to support the efforts that go towards building community. What I appreciate the most about this school is the sense of community, the sense of approachability among the staff and the teachers and the administration. The parent council is very active and supportive and welcoming. There's a nice balance between a desire to see the kids learn and grow academically and how that includes community and the importance of having community and building community around all of the curriculum and class programming and so forth. The events that happen periodically throughout the year are great for that. I think new parents will find that it's very accessible and that concerns are heard and taken seriously. The communication with teachers has been really good, I have to say. We hear in advance what the children will be doing. Each week we get some kind of update or an overview as to what the children will be learning in the upcoming week. There's flexibility to accommodate or change or adjust any of these projections according to questions that come up. There are WhatsApp groups among the parents that help the parents feel very plugged into what's going on, and there's a newsletter every week that comes in on Thursday afternoons. So, even if you don't get around to reading it every week, there's always a reference point to go to, and so I think that's what I appreciate the most is the sense of community and accessibility to anything that's happening in the school. Life is busy, so it's nice to know that that all of these needs are being attended to, and that the concerns are being met by teachers and parents alike. If I had to narrow it down to one thing that surprised me about the school in a positive way, was the attention that's given to report cards. So the report cards are very detailed. I've seen how much care is given to developing the report cards and how the children are assessed and how the children are met with in advance of receiving their report cards, to hear from them how they perceive their own learning, so they understand that the learning process begins with themselves, and that reflecting on that is a very important part, so that their perception of where they're at is in line with what the teachers are also perceiving. And if there are ever any discrepancies or differences, then those things are talked about and reviewed and considered. And as I mentioned, the report cards are very detailed in their comments. There are something called head marks, which assess competencies that don't necessarily have to do with grades. Things like developing independence, social skills, organizational skills, and so forth. And on top of the grades they receive. The comments are thorough and reflected on. The teachers take time to reflect on these, what they're going to write for each student in a remarkable way, something that I haven't seen before. And that's been particularly surprising and, I'd have to say, impressive. So the values that were promoted at the outset for this school when we arrived was that they promote character building. So what that meant, well, anything that had to do with developing responsibility, helping children know how to organize themselves. We've seen that they support the anti-bullying campaigns that happen in school boards. Encouraging the children to work together in teams. And one of the things I'd say is that our family is mixed racially, and it was important to us to see how they would respond to our feedback when it came to addressing questions of diversity in curriculum. And as you might imagine, in German schools, this is still developing. But in a city like Toronto, we've seen over the years how this has improved and grown in things like incorporating more content when it comes to Black History Month, where there's more acknowledgement of diversity in the landscape of people who have contributed to worldwide knowledge and pedagogy and advances in all sorts of areas. Also in acknowledging what's happening in Canada, and the acknowledgements of the First Nations people has grown considerably. I'd say the typical family at this school is comprised of two parents in the household, which is great. I also understand it's a privilege, um, and many of them have higher incomes. I personally am a graduate student doing a doctoral program, and I'm not earning much money right now at all. So there is a balance of parents or families that come in without the kind of money you need to send your children to a private school, but those challenges are met through programs such as they call it the Apple financing program, to make a private school like this accessible to families with lower incomes. Um, I should also say that these parents are quite involved in, as far as both parents being involved in drop off and pick up. There's concern for safety, that the children are learning that, as much as they can, and desiring that they're in a safe environment. Um, and I would say the ethnic diversity has increased since we arrived. Um, Although I would say it's not as diverse as the public schools in Toronto, but I see that changing every year, and there's more concern for that. General values, I would say, are more, bent on upholding conservative values of education. Um, can't get into much detail. My seconds are running out now. I think the involvement in the speech competitions has been a highlight for our son, who has advanced to the finals in the last, I think, the last 2 years. And there was always special attention given to him to refine his speeches and presenting in front of the whole school, in front of a jury, getting feedback from some external jury panelists has been very valuable. Performing with a choir at the distillery district early on in our time was one highlight. Again, later at the Goethe Institute, the accessibility to going on field trips and so forth has been great as well. Anytime he's had the opportunity to get up in front of the school and his community to perform with a choir at the bazaar, or these types of things have been a lot of fun at the annual general meeting as well. There have been some highlights as well to be visible in the community, and chosen to represent to a certain extent as well. Has been a highlight. I've addressed this to an extent in a previous response, that my experience with teachers and administration has been overall very positive, insofar as my concerns are always met and addressed. There's a sense that we can always reach out to the teachers and the administration with concerns. They're accommodating to any special needs we might have. I think one of the things I've always wanted for the school is to find that balance between accommodating the needs of the parents, but at the same time crafting a clear sense of what the school's vision and values are, so as to not be overly swayed by the whims of the parents. I'm speaking now as a former teacher that knows the importance of a teacher being supported by the parents as much as, if not more than, being challenged or questioned by the parents, which seems to be in society sort of an upswing of, especially at private schools, for parents to be trying to get very involved, perhaps too involved at times, in a teacher's approach to things. There is a place for that, don't get me wrong. But with the German International School, Toronto is a very fluid community. So there are teachers who have been there for a long time, but there are also teachers that will change during your time, or one's time there. And this is, I think, worth mentioning to be prepared that the expat community is a very transitional and transient type of community. That also includes some teachers or some interns that will be there for short periods of time. So there's that aspect of having to manage expectations on the longevity. So that's been sometimes a challenge when a great teacher has to leave for to return to Germany, or new teachers coming in, some with a lot of experience, some with less experience. There are always pros and cons to these things, but I think it's worth mentioning that is or has been a reality, and it's always approached with as much care as possible to accommodate these types of changes. But in and through all of these things, communication has always been good. As mentioned, there's a newsletter that goes out. There's a real sense of transparency with whatever issues come up, and I think that sums it up. I would say the care and attention giving to the refining of the curriculum is only getting better and better. Secondly, the parent council is very active and plays a big role in coordination with the administration. They set up activities and programs throughout the year that really help build community and make it very accessible to new families. And thirdly, I think the size of the school is great, especially for the elementary years. The older years are still developing, but the younger years, as far as the size of the school for younger children, is very conducive to learning. And if I can tag on to that last answer, the environment of learning German is, as I mentioned at the beginning, is one of the main reasons why we sent our son there in the first place, and now our second son as well. So if I were to sum up those three things, is the care and attention to refining the curriculum, which this also includes attention to the German, but also to many other aspects of the curriculum. And second, the parent council being an integral part of the community, how active it is, and what great programs they put on. And thirdly, the size of the school, I think, being a really nice balance, especially for the elementary school years, and not to ignore the fact that this is a developing thing that is in process of expanding their high school years as well. I hope that has been helpful. I think asking the staff and the administration about highlights of their curriculum is worthwhile knowing at the outset. Having a good overview of the arts curriculum, which entails the music and visual arts, and playful or play-based pedagogy in the younger years. Also asking about the STEM, STEM, which addresses the curriculum that has to do with science and technology and mathematics, to find out and to hear from the teachers who are there currently what they can tell you about those programs, And then as well, really try and find out what's going on at the social level, which parents to reach out to, who you might be in touch with to ask some of the questions that have to do with the daily life needs that one needs to expect going into a new environment. Researching the location, the accessibility needs. There's a new lunch program that's been introduced 2 days a week for the younger years. Ask about those kinds of things. But any chance you have to visit an open house in advance, find out when the next open house is. It could be a virtual open house or an in-person one, or see if you can attend any of the events that are happening to get a sneak peek prior to your arrival in a new environment. And I think this school would be very accommodating and interested in meeting you in advance. Now, post-pandemic, there are more opportunities for that. We've gone through some difficult phases during the pandemic where those kinds of options were not available, so taking advantage of them now is a great option to have. So all the best for everybody searching, and and all in good faith for the advancement of our children's education.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.